dumping everyone into the United States. Did you know that? Wonderful. Their prisons are being emptied out all over the world, not just in Guatemala, not just Mexico, not just El Salvador. No, all over the world they're coming. Last week we had 129 people coming from 129 countries were represented by people pouring into our country illegally. 129 countries. Most people didn't even know there were that many. There are actually more than that, and sometimes we have a lot more than that. But their prisons are being emptied into the United States. You go into their prisons, they used to have it so crowded, so horrible, that people couldn't lie on the floor. They would stand up and lean against each other. Now they have nobody in those prisons. They're all in the United States of America. Thank you very much. We're like a dumping ground. The same thing with people that are mentally ill. They said, please don't use the word insane asylum. But no, there are some very serious places, insane asylums and mental institutions. And those people are all being dumped into the United States. Why should they take care of them if a country is foolish enough to take the tremendous risk and cost? The risk being even bigger than the cost, but the cost is not even, it's not imaginable how big it is. So we have all these people that are vicious prisoners. You think our prisoners are bad? These people make them look like Boy Scouts. And they're being dumped into our country. And all of the people who are mentally ill, I read an article recently, fairly recently, about a psychiatrist who was working at a hospital for 20, 25 years in South America. And he was sitting reading the newspaper, being interviewed for this article. And he said, you know, I used to work 24 hours a day working with patients, but I don't have patients anymore. They've all been delivered to the United States. He wasn't like complaining. He was just saying the facts. He said, I used to work so hard. Now, you know, I want to help people, but we really don't have. The people are being let into the United States. And he said, some of these people are very sick. And this is what we're doing. Because we have a president that doesn't have a clue, and we have radical, leftist, Marxist, crazy people that are actually running our country. Following the Eisenhower model, people don't realize Eisenhower was very tough on immigration. Did you know that, Richard? Like very, very tough. He had them taken away, and he used to have them brought a little bit over the border, and they'd come back again a little bit. Then he had them brought 2,000 miles away, and they didn't come back so quick. But they used to put them on the other side of the border. They'd come right back. But he was very tough. But we'll use all necessary state, local, federal, and military resources to carry out the largest domestic deportation operation in American history. We have no choice. We have no choice. And I'll probably lose votes because of that. They'll say, oh, he's so mean. We're not mean. They're killing people. They're destroying our country. And if I lose votes, that's okay. I don't care. We have to do what's right. We have to straighten out our country. I will ask every state and federal agency to identify every single known or suspected gang member in America, and every one of them that is here illegally, we will pick them up and we will send them back to the country from which they came. We'll bring them back very quickly. Because we don't want you or your family killed by some deranged person or some person that's in prison for having killed 9 people and that happens to be living happily in the United States of America. And this is very unsuspecting. When they hit you, you wouldn't even expect it. These are hardened criminals. And to further deter illegal immigration, I will sign a day 1 executive order ending automatic citizenship for the children of illegal aliens. You get automatic citizenship. Automatic citizenship. And unlike Ron DeSanctimonious, who voted to gut Medicare, to remember that he voted to gut it, and Social Security, gut Social Security, and he voted 3 times to raise the retirement age to 70. You know, Ron DeSanctimonious is a disciple of Paul Ryan. Anybody that's a disciple of Paul Ryan, you don't want him. But I will always protect Medicare and Social Security for our great seniors. And one thing I've learned in politics, when a guy is against, like, Medicare or wants to decapitate it, or a guy's against anything Social Security, and then they have an election and all of a sudden they love it, although he hasn't even said that yet. But when they have, and you earned it. You know, people have been working very hard for long periods of time. There are many things we can cut. You don't have to cut Social Security. You don't have to cut Medicare. If we did the oil thing, you wouldn't have to even think about these things. But they don't want to do the oil thing because they don't know what they're doing. But one thing I learned is that when they want to do it, then they go a little bit because they want to try and get elected. They always go back to it. So when somebody wants to cut Social Security or Medicare, and then they go back to saying, oh, I love them very much, within a fairly short period of time, they'll be cutting it. Just remember what I say. And I will not put a national sales tax of 23% on our citizens, which DeSantis wants to do. He wants to put a 23% national sales tax on. Rich people, I sort of like the idea for myself. Can you imagine somebody now is going to pay every time they buy something 23%? This will not be happy, but more importantly, it's not fair. On day one, I will immediately sign a new executive order to cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, transgender insanity, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content on our children. It's amazing how strongly people feel about that. You see, I'm talking about cutting taxes. People go like that. Talk about transgender. Everyone goes crazy. Who would have thought 5 years ago you didn't know what the hell it was? But one that I think is incredible that we would be saying that I can't even believe you have to say, I guess I have to say I'm a politician, right? I don't want to say that, but I have to. I became president. I guess I'm a politician. But I can't believe I say this. I will always support parents' rights. Can you imagine saying that 10 or 15 years ago? Parents' rights. Who wouldn't? Think of it. Who wouldn't support parents' rights? That you have to get up and say, I will always support parents' rights with their children. I mean, what's going on with their children? They can take the children and do whatever they want without the parent even knowing. I will not give 1 penny to any school that has a vaccine mandate or a mask mandate. And one of the easiest to me is, I will keep men out of women's sports, okay? You see the records that are being broken now? Records that have held up for 18, 19 years, they're being obliterated. Check out the weightlifting records. Guy comes up. A woman is fantastic. She's a great champion. She's lifting weights. Something like 218 pounds. That's a lot of weight for a woman to go, boom. And they'll put like a 1/16 of an ounce on one side, a 1/16 of an ounce on the other side. Yeah, I can't do it. I can't do it. Doesn't quite get there. Great champion. Then a guy comes along, bingo. I mean, they're breaking records by numbers. But you know what? It's honestly, it's really demeaning to women, very demeaning to women. So unfair. The swimmers, the women, female swimmers, they're great, incredible people, incredible athletes, but they're getting obliterated. These records are just getting obliterated. Some women are being badly injured by the wind burn that's caused by the man going so much faster. The wind is blowing. It's just terrible. No, these records are being obliterated. It's so unfair. But who would even think that you could allow this? Who would say that this is okay? These people are sick. They're deranged. I'll sign a law prohibiting child sexual mutilation in all 50 states. Child sexual mutilation. There's another one, though. Think of it. Think of it. I'm going to sign a bill prohibiting the mutilation of your child. Do you think you're supposed to say this? I mean, who would have to say this? Who would have something where they can actually do that? But they can. Because our country has gone cuckoo. 10 years ago, if you ever said that, they'd carry you out of the room. They'd say, what the hell is this guy talking about? Today you have to say it because they mutilate children. As I announced